In this video, I will be sharing everything that I knitted in 2024. I will also share my crochet projects and my sewing projects. Good day everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariette, also known as die Boervrou, and I'm coming to you from South Africa. In today's video, I will be sharing all the projects that I made during 2024, and I am very interested to see how many projects I have completed. I will go through the projects in the order that I finished them and then count them up as we go to see how many projects I've completed and in what categories. Before I begin, I just want to say that everybody is different and have different amounts of time and energy that they can spend on crafting. Therefore, I am not making this list for comparison, but as a way for me to celebrate my small wins of what I have achieved. I did not do a everything I knit video for 2023, but that is okay. I really just want to document the projects all in one video, and I think it will be a lot of fun this way. Then also to clarify, some projects was not entirely made during this year. For example, my Battenberg blanket was started in 2023, but I share it here as I share everything that I finished during 2024. And I think there will always be some projects carrying over from the previous year, so that is acceptable for me. I will link all my Ravelry project pages below this video, so that you can have a look at that if you want more information. Then sewing projects do not have project pages like Ravelry project pages, but I will add and link all the information that I have for the sewing projects. I have a lovely cup of coffee here. I hope you have something to drink, and let's get started with this video. Project number 1 is my Riika top. This is the second one that I made with L Cotton's 4-ply yarn. It used 245 grams in the colorway Baby Blue. I used 3mm and 2.5mm needles for the project, and I made a size small as my gauge was off, which means that my project came out bigger than intended by the pattern gauge. It worked out very well. I also added some short rows to make the front longer so that the hem is straight and not curved upwards when I wear it. I do wish that I made the whole top a little longer, like 2 centimeters, but I have worn it so many times that I do not think that I can get away with knitting it longer now. Project number 2. This is a leftovers potholder. I love this pattern. These are really fun, quick projects, and I think they will make awesome gifts. And the pattern is free on Ravelry. This one I started with a 4mm hook and 40 chain stitches, and only after I made another one I realized that I used 4-ply yarn to start it and not double it. But I still use and love it. This one was made of various L Premier cotton 4-ply and double knit yarn, and it used 38 grams in total. Project number 3 is another leftovers potholder. This one was also made with a 4mm crochet hook, and this time I used Moya 100% cotton double knit and Kismet Raisha double knit. I chained 45 to start and used a total of 53 grams for this one. Here you can see the size difference, but then I decided I like to have them in a little set of two, one slightly bigger than the other one, so that worked out great. Project number 4 is my Spread Kindness shawl, which is shawl 1A in the pattern 4 of a Kind by Brenda Brayfield. This was my first project made with Knotty Habit 100% superwash merino yarn. I'm only used to the sock yarns, and it was a lovely experience. I am starting to look forward to the colder months so that I can get to wear these beautiful creations. Anyway, the shawl. I used 83 grams for the shawl, and I knitted on 3.5mm needles, and I love the colors of this yarn. Project number 5 is my Fairy Lily sweater. This is my first ever sweater design. And I am so proud of this one. This pattern comes with instructions to make 3/4 sleeve and long sleeves. It is made of Piana Yarn's sock yarn and 4.5mm needles. It has beautiful drape and I love it so much. I used 315 grams of yarn for it, and oh yes, it is in the colorway Victoria. Project number 6 is a hat. I made the 1898 hat in this grey color for Anton. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. Lovely pattern, by the way. The brim and ear flaps are knit flat and then folded over, and the crown of the hat are then knit through the 2 layers of brim. No sewing needed afterwards, which is a bonus in my opinion. I used SMC Select Extra Soft Merino Alpaca for this project with 4.5mm needles, and I used a total of 67 grams for this hat. Project number 7 is a pair of socks for Anton using my DB Toe-Up Socks pattern. It is his 14th pair of hand knit socks. Very lucky husband and very knitworthy. This pair was made with opal yarn, which is 75% wool and 25% polyamide. I used 2.25mm needles for the socks and 3.25mm needles for the bind off. The pair used 88 grams of yarn. He wears a UK size 11 shoe with feet that measures 27 centimeters, which means I love knitting him socks because it takes a while, and that is all lovely knitting time for me to enjoy. Project number 8 is a little stuffed crochet heart that I use as a needle minder. I used the Heart Amigurumi pattern, which is also a free pattern on Ravelry. I made this project with Venus Colors Nickem and a 2.75mm crochet hook. I used a total of 8 grams of yarn for this, so it does not take a lot of yarn to make one. I stuffed it with washable stuffing so that it is easy to wash when it gets dirty, and I have a huge bag of it, so I used what I already have. Project number 9. This is a big one. Now, I do know that the Battenberg blanket is a crochet project, and this one is clearly knitted. So let me quickly tell you what happened. My friend Liani and I hosted, or should I say are hosting, a Battenberg blanket make-along on Instagram, and the original idea was to do it over 2 years, so 2023 and 2024, but we decided to keep the group open for now, as a lot of participants are still working on their blankets. But anyway, the Battenberg blanket is a free crochet pattern available on Ravelry, but I decided I want to knit the blanket, so that is what I did. I created a free download on Ravelry with written instructions and a tutorial video here on YouTube on how to knit these squares. So I knitted all the squares from the middle with a pinhole cast on, and it is actually very easy. So I thought there is no way I'm sewing all these squares together, so I decided to crochet them together. I also made a video tutorial on how exactly I did that, and I will link the videos for you. I also wanted to make it from my stash of mostly acrylic yarns and all double knit weight, so I worked out how much I would need to make lines of one main color, and then changed up my main color every 2 rows of squares. And I finished it up with a moss stitch crochet border in different colors. I ended up working on the blanket from the 1st of January 2023 to the 19th of May 2024. I chose colors for it that my husband would like and made it for him, and I am really proud of this one. Project number 10 is another 1898 hat in the same SMC Select Extra Soft Merino Alpaca, but in a different color. This one is navy. I used the same needles of 4.5mm and used a total of 64 grams. So for some reason 3 grams less. They look exactly the same to me. Project number 11 is my Fairy Lily cowl. This is a cowl that I designed myself, and I still need to get it published. The idea behind the cowl was to have this beautiful shape that'll keep the whole chest warm and toasty when it is cold. I always look for something to keep the chest warm in winter, and this works very well. I used the same lace pattern from the Fairy Lily sweater, but in garter for this one. I really love this one, and it has the same purple yarn in it as my first Fairy Lily sweater. It is knit flat and then seamed at the back, all made with sock yarn and 4mm needles. Project number 12 is a project that I just altered. This is a pair of socks that I knitted for Anton, but it was in the beginning of my sock knitting journey, and the feet is a little bit short for him. I needed longer socks for my gumboots, as my shop socks was so finished that there was no more repairing them. So I cut off the cuffs. This was knit cuff down, and then picked up all the stitches and knit the legs longer with some increases and very long ripped cuffs. All in the same brand of yarn, just different colorways. Project number 13 is my pair of mittens. I made these with the leftovers of my first yarn swap with my friend Liani in 2023. It was only 5-gram minis, and I had lots of it left, so I made the mittens out of them as well. These are really bright and fun, and I love them so much. I used 2.5mm needles and sock yarns. Project number 14 is another Fairy Lily cowl, just in a bigger size than the first one. This will be size 2 in the pattern. I used sock yarns for this one too, and it has the same pink as my second Fairy Lily sweater. Both yarns are by Piana Yarns, and this one matches not only my pink Fairy Lily sweater, but also my long sleeve ranunculus that I made with Al Merino. Cannot wait to wear it this winter. Project number 15 is another leftovers potholder. The third one, I think, so far. There is more. This one was made with Venus Nickum cotton yarn and a 4mm crochet hook. I chained 35 for the start of this one. It used 29 grams of yarn and measures 14 by 14 centimeters. Project number 16 is another leftovers potholder. This one is my absolute favorite to use because it is thick, and that helps a lot when working with hot things. For this one, I used L cotton on double knit. I chained 40 stitches to start. The potholder used 55 grams of yarn and measures 16.5 by 16.5 centimeters, and I consider these two a set. Project number 17. This is my legacy cowl. This is a pattern from fellow South African pattern designer and podcaster End Fun Mittens. She is known as Made by Yaleen here on YouTube. She gifted me this pattern so that I can learn how to mosaic crochet. I used acrylic yarns out of my stash to make it, and it was a lot of fun. It came out bigger than it should be because I did not swatch and I did not use the recommended yarn. Someone suggested that it would make a beautiful bag, and I still want to turn it into a project bag. One can never have too many project bags. Project number 18 is a pair of cuff down socks. This is another pattern by me. I must also still publish this one. I made this with opal yarn and Piana yarn's sock yarn for the heels and toes. This will be the cuff down version of my DB toe up socks. This made an amazingly pretty striped pair of socks made with 2.25 and 3.25 millimeter needles as I make all of the socks. Project number 19. This is another to be published pattern of mine, the water bottle cozy size 1 to fit my 500ml bottle, made with sock yarn, faux cable pattern and a 2x2 ribbed cuff. This is Naughty Habit sock yarn. I used 3mm needles and 16 grams of yarn for this project. Project number 20 is another water bottle cozy. This one is to fit my 750ml water bottle, made with Big Fox yarn, their sock yarn in cherry chocolate. It is a stocking stitch version with a 2x2 ribbed cuff with an I-cord bind off. This one used 20 grams of yarn. Project number 21 is another water bottle cozy. This will be the third size to fit a 1 liter bottle. This one is made with a 3x1 rib, and I made a 2x2 ribbed cuff for it. This cozy is made from the leftover of my Fairy Lily Cowl size 2, and I used 26 grams of yarn for this one. Project number 22 is another leftovers potholder. This one is so fun. I used 3 different yarn brands for this one, all 100% cotton. The brands are Moya Double Knit, Piana Yarns and Al Premier Cotton. For this one I chained 45 and I used a total of 46 grams of yarn, and it measures 17 by 18 centimeters. Project number 23 is a sewing project. These pants are made from the Kwiksew 3625 pattern, and I altered the crotch seam to be shorter than the original, and I love that. It is a very thick fabric, And I believe the pattern was not designed to be made in such a thick fabric, but it worked out in the end. This fits so many colors of my knitted wardrobe. I love it. Project number 24 is another leftovers potholder. I made a total of 6 of them last year. This one was made with Moya cotton double knit, Kismet yarns, Raisa, and I think Venus colors, Nikum, and probably some Al Premier cotton too. I chained 35 to start this one, used 29 grams of yarn, and it measures 13.5 by 14 centimeters. And yes, you guessed it, I consider these two a set. Project number 25 is another water bottle cozy. This is the stocking stitch version of size 1 for the 500ml bottle. I made it in Knotty Habit sock yarn that I got as a birthday gift. This was part of a sock club box. Love the speckles. I used a total of 16 grams of yarn for this cozy. Project 26 is a pair of socks. This is also a design in progress by me. These are extra long socks designed out of the need for more long socks to wear with my gumboots. These have a little I-cord that helps to keep the socks up. I love this pair. I knit it toe up in these nice white stripes. I used a total of 172 grams of yarn for the pair, and I think if you wear them like this in winter, they will keep your ankles warm and toasty. Project number 27 is another pair of socks. This is the equal stripes socks designed by me for the 3rd annual DB Socktober Sock-along that I hosted in October 2024. This was such a fun design, and I designed it in such a way that you would get equal width stripes from cuff to toe. And this pattern has cuff down and toe up instructions. I used 7 different colors and this was so much fun. Knitted them on 2.25 and 3.25 millimeter needles in the second size of my patterns, which is a 60 stitch sock. Project number 28 is my first sleeveless top in double knit yarn. I made this with Moya 100% cotton double knit in the colors Bubblegum, which is the pink one, and Rose Quartz, that is the speckled one. I used 3.75 millimeter needles for the stocking stitch parts and 3.25 millimeter needles for the ribbings. I knit the colors in 10 round stripes and used a total of 226 grams of yarn for the project. Project number 29 is another pair of equal striped socks, knitted with the cuff down instructions and lace colors. For this one I used a self-striping yarn for the garter stripes to have the same effect as people get with spin cycle yarns in sweaters, and I am so happy with how it came out. I love it so much. Also knit in a 60 stitch count with 2.25 and 3.25 millimeter needles. Project number 30 is a pair of socks. This was made from my DB Toe Up Socks pattern. I made this pair of socks as a gift to my sister-in-law. She liked the cuff down socks colors so much, but I did not have enough left for another pair of socks, so I got a little bit creative and added a pink stripe into the stripe sequence. A beautiful matched pair. This was in the first size of my patterns, which is a 56 stitch sock. It is also knitted on 2.25 and 3.25 millimeter needles. Loved how they came out. Project number 31 is another sewing project. This is my 3-tier skirt that I drafted myself and made with 100% cotton fabric that I got as a gift. I absolutely love this skirt and cannot wait to make more skirts with this pattern. I added elastic to the waistband and I made a string or tape with the fabric to add into the waistband to use as ties, and it is one of my favorite features of this skirt. Project number 32 is my December Yarnswap socks. I made this from the yarns that I swapped with my friend Leonie from Independence Yarn Crafts. I used a main color and another color for the heels and toes. I knitted 4 rounds in the main color and 6 rounds in the minis from the Yarnswap. I love how it came out. I also used the main color for the cuffs. Knitted the socks on 2.25 millimeter and 3.25 millimeter needles, and I used a total of 76 grams of yarn for the pair. Project number 33 is another sewing project. It is the Noelle Bralette. It is a free pattern. I will link it in the description. I changed quite a few things on this pattern and talk quite a bit about it in episode 79 of my video podcast here on YouTube. So I will not go into all the details, but so far this is working great with all my alterations. This was basically the first one where I use the fabric that I'm not sorry for. As you can see, it is not the best quality and bled so much that all the white elastic turned pink. But that's okay. It is wearable, and now that I figured out all the things I want to change, I can get good quality fabric and do this again, knowing that it will work this time. Project number 34 is another sleeveless top in Moya 100% cotton double knit. This time in peridot, and the brown is burnt fudge. This one was also knit with 3.75 and 3.25 millimeter needles, 10 round stripes, and I used a total of 224 grams of yarn, so 2 grams less than the other one. I really love these tops. Project number 35. No, I'm kidding. That is it. I finished a total of 34 projects in 2024. I am so happy with all of these projects, and I love doing this to see how many things I completed, not for the numbers, but to celebrate all the things that I have accomplished with these two hands. So let's quickly see how many and of what category these completed projects are. I have socks, tops and sweaters, pants, skirts, shawls, cowls, hats, blankets, cozies, potholders and other. So I have completed 8 pairs of socks, of which 1 was an alteration, but still a lot of knitting. Tops and sweaters is 4. For pants I have 1. Skirts I also made 1. Then for shawls I only knit 1 for 2024. I made a total of 3 cowls. I made 2 hats, 1 blanket, 4 cozies, 6 potholders. I've made a category for other, and that is 3. 1 Amigurumi heart, a bralette and a pair of mittens. That gives us a total of 8 crochet projects, 23 knitting projects and 3 sewing projects. I am very impressed with the amount of projects that I've made during 2024. I would love to know if you find these kind of numbers interesting, and if you want to, you are welcome to share with me in the comments how many projects you made for 2024, or just what is the project that was the biggest achievement for you for 2024. It does not need to be big. Maybe your achievement was learning to knit, and that is amazing. Remember to always celebrate your small wins, and let's see what projects will be completed in the year 2025. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!